Hello?
Hello, hello.
Hey, Travis. Sounds good.
Okay.
I'm gonna be mobile here, going to my next meeting. So I will try to follow along as best as possible. But if you need anything, just let me know, and we can take it offline.
Okay, I put an introductory slide in for you. Should I take that out if you're not going to be able
No,
to?
that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Just let me know when you're ready.
Okay. All right. Just us so far.
You finish all your perf?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I finished my personal and peer reviews, but now I've got to do manager reviews for everybody. And then
How many direct report do you have?
8.
8?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Definitely some people with a lot more, but it's gonna be spending my vacation on that stuff probably.
Oh, yeah, you're going on vacation.
Yeah. Looks like we have one more participant. Looks like Randy joined.
Hi there.
Hello. Probably look at starting about 5 after, hopefully if more TAC members join in.
Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, is this Travis?
Yeah.
Hey, it's Migursky. How's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
Pretty good.
So, got you and Randy, myself, and Dan Lopez from the Linux Foundation on the line right now. So we're gonna wait a few more minutes as people trickle in.
Cool. Hey, Randy, how's it going?
Hey, Mike. How's it going with you?
Pretty good. Are you on the West Coast or the East Coast right now?
East Coast.
Exciting.
Hi, this is Drew Dara Abrams on the 805 number.
Hey, Drew.
Drew.
Hey, morning, afternoon, everyone.
Good morning.
See, Oliver just jumped on too. Starting to get critical mass.
Hey, Paolo.
Hello, this is Paolo from Sensible City Lab.
Paolo, welcome. We're gonna get started in about 1 minute as people are coming on.
Okay. I don't expect Drishti to join. She's traveling in India this week, so she's probably not going to be able to hop in.
Okay. Okay, 9:05. I think we can go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for coming, waking up early in the morning if you're on the West Coast, somewhat early for a 9 a.m. meeting, and in Europe and on the East Coast as well for joining in. So looks like we have pretty good crowd here, maybe like 10 participants on the Zoom. So I guess to jump in, here's our typical antitrust policy notice. Since the last meeting, just put together a brief agenda. Want to go through some like reintroductions of some new folks, see if there's anybody in the community jumping in who would like to introduce themselves, set some goals out propose some goals, get some feedback on like what we should be working on over the next couple months, and then get to some roll up our sleeves and get to the project life cycle proposal, make sure everybody's clear on what this is, and if we can ratify that, discuss the code of conduct, housekeeping, and project candidates. Just first off, I want to reintroduce and re-welcome Dan Lopez. I believe he was on the call last time, the TAC call meeting last month, but since then, Dan has graciously offered to step up and help with sort of the program management and support for the TAC and the Urban Computing Foundation in general. So I'll let Dan, who's on the line, reintroduce himself.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Dan, or afternoon or evening, wherever you are. I'm Dan. I'm the program manager from the Linux Foundation, who's going to run point for most things operationally for Urban Computing Foundation. So if you need, stationary coffee or anything like that, I'm the one to call. I do have a long history of large petabyte scale systems engineering, as well as shooting stuff to space. So urban computing, I'm right at home doing these things. and I'm really excited to see all this effort start to take flight. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks, Travis.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, ask him about his geospatial background and experience. It's pretty cool stuff that he's worked on in the past. So. On the intros front, last time we went through and had some introductions for folks on the technical advisory committee, but do want to encourage, if there's, just give a minute or two, if there's anybody on the line who maybe is new to the Urban Computing Foundation TAC meeting from the community, or anybody who wants to just kind of introduce themselves. It's okay if you don't, but just open up the mic for a moment here and see if anybody wants to speak up. Going once, going twice. Cool, we can move on. Okay, so I wanted to propose some goals about, how we could start focusing our time on these TAC meetings. We're only meeting now like once a month, so there's not a lot of time where we're all coming together to be able to coordinate on things. So I wanted to propose like this set of goals, like a high level objective around trying to seed the foundation with open source projects that demonstrate value of the urban computing ecosystem. And I'm thinking that this would be like an objective, kind of a short to medium term objective. And really the way I think we can get here and need to get here is by breaking down what we need to do and really getting all the members of the TAC involved in the Urban Computing Foundation efforts, and maybe people kind of getting more involved in taking ownership of maybe some particular tasks that could help us meet these objectives, or this objective. And the mission that we've discussed before is around kind of building an ecosystem around urban computing. We've seeded the Urban Computing Foundation with Kepler GL. And we've announced that from our announcement, we've gotten lots of interest in the Urban Computing Foundation. I feel like it's our job as the TAC at this point to really capitalize on that interest and start to figure out how we can get more projects to join the foundation. So I want to pause right there, see if there's any feedback on that initial goal and focus over the next couple months. Cool.
Hey, this is Drew. I'll throw out a thought that I've had. I wonder if I have no clear answers here, but I wonder if it's worth us thinking about more projects along the lines of Kepler, where an org has already created it in-house and is looking for a place for that project to live, or kind of greenfield projects where it's more aspirational, fleshing out something that should exist but does not currently exist, and the goal is more to start stubbing out something that multiple orgs could contribute to. So I think both of those are worth considering in the future, and it's worth being ready for both types of conversations.
It's good input. Yeah.
I agree. This is Dan. I totally agree on both those fronts. I think what we should probably consider on a methodology here to move this forward is maybe establish a reference model or reference architecture that describes the stack, the kind of the meta stack, or like a meta model of where we want to go anyway. And so that can help seed where we have things in that model and where we need to go, maybe develop stuff that's new or novel. Has helped. We've done that for Hyperledger. We've done that for Cloud Native Foundation. So I think those are some things like I can help kind of seed that, and we can take that offline, but that might be something for us to consider moving a strategy forward, maybe with a reference model.
Just taking some notes here. Any other thoughts on just this high level objective? I mean, are we aligned around, the focus on trying to attract projects to the urban computing ecosystem? I was trying to think through some sort of tactical things that we need to do and put in place to be able to do that. The first thing that comes to mind is basically, we haven't yet established like what the process is for projects to join the foundation. So I feel like step one would be to put the clear guidelines in place for projects to join the foundation. There is the proposal for the sort of project guidelines and life cycle that we can go through later, but that seems like step one that we can, maybe even, all come to consensus on within this meeting and sort of put some initial guidelines. I think that also could be a evolving sort of structure as well, to account for things like Drew was bringing up around existing projects or like scaffolding for new projects that, we see as gaps.
This is Mike. I think that if we look at number 3 here on the goals, it probably gives us a pretty good set of hints as to how to think about number 1 and number 2. If folks from the Linux Foundation or the Urban Computing Foundation are able to attend conferences and events where urban planners are thick on the ground, I'm thinking of things like APA. NACTO conference is an annual city transportation officials conference. Probably you'll see the kinds of projects that are already being used by urban planners that might constitute something that would be considered a good candidate. I'm thinking of examples like StreetMix, for example, which has been fairly minimally funded over the years, but is wildly popular amongst this population. And could be a pretty good candidate project, and maybe even has a founder, Lu Huang, who might be interested in having it join. So definitely let's observe what the urban planners are using as a way to seed what's interesting.
Yeah, in addition to attending conferences, I think there's probably some other ideas we can come up with around number 3, ways to ensure hands-on urban planners are validating the ecosystem's practicality. And I think this is an original point you brought up around sort of the mission and, Mike, around, that we, our TAC composition right now has some good representation from private industry and academics, but not a lot of hands-on urban planners. So I think this is a sort of an important part of like this goal that or this objective around creating an ecosystem around urban computing, that we're actually making sure that we're doing like the right requirements gathering and validating it. Any other ideas from the group about how to approach number 3 besides conferences and looking at the projects there?
I was going to mention, this is Scott Anderson. I'm new on the call. Sorry I didn't introduce myself. But another place to look is, I think that probably a number of large cities have some initiatives underway within them, but that probably have a hard time reaching open source communities. And so looking at some of the more successful implementations that might benefit from a more national audience, along the lines of something that's already been developed, that we could, that someone would be happy to have this as part of their catalog and potentially get more contributors to, might also be an interesting way to gain more audience.
Totally. Oh, welcome, Scott. Thanks for that's a good point. You think, we can approach this just through like a survey and like outreach to the larger cities, with these urban computing initiatives?
So this is Paolo speaking. I totally agree with the previous suggestion. And I have to say, that in many of these cities, there is like a data analysis group or something like that. For instance, here in Boston, there is the Office of New Urban Mechanics. And I know that there is a similar office in New York. So probably reaching out to those offices specifically would give us some advantage, because this is like people more similar to us. So they might be more interested in this initiative than just reaching in general. And they definitely have connection with planners because they are part of the city organization. So.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, actually, New York City Planning actually has a labs and has built a number of tools that that could potentially be candidate projects.
Is that the typical structure for these city offices, to have like urban planners and then like a sub office or like a lab that's devoted to like data science?
For bigger and wealthier cities, you'll definitely see that pattern. One of the issues that a lot of these labs have is that they tend to be extremely founder driven. So you might have, you know, some particular individual who's got a bit of imagination and sort of 2 or 3 years of energy to burn. And then the lab may or may not survive that person leaving. So it's a little bit tricky. One thing that actually just popped up yesterday that might be worth our attention is a new thing called the Open Mobility Foundation, which could be an interesting way to think about what cities are currently doing. This is coming out of Los Angeles Department of Transportation, led by Salita Reynolds, and actually conforms to a lot of the patterns that we're thinking about, but has a fairly crisp mission in terms of thinking about sort of light individual transportation, and in particular electric scooters. Might be worth reaching out to some folks that are involved in that and seeing if there's some alignment there.
This is Brian. So Dan, I think this is something the Linux Foundation take over to start reaching out to those point of contact and see what we can get from them. I think the
absolutely. And I'm just listening right now, but I just got a call from an office in Okinawa and one in Singapore, roughly structured the same way, wanting to collaborate on that front. So I think we should just consolidate that and have kind of a running list of these program offices for collaboration opportunities, start to amalgamate. Absolutely behind that idea, for sure. I'll take that on.
This is Drew. I'd be glad to help assist with a list. I think it's a good idea to focus on these innovation centers, whether they sit at city levels or transportation side, but just putting together a list of our mutual contacts and figuring out who's the right person to approach each, I think would be a great addition and a great way to start balancing the scales to have some more of the public sector involved.
Yeah, cool. Leverage sort of the, there's an amazing group of people on this TAC and with a lot of experience and network. And I'm sure that, in addition to the Linux Foundation's sort of street cred, the TAC members can help a lot, I think, by establishing some of these connections or starting the outreach. All right, well, we'll follow up with some more specific kind of approach to how we'll start to organize around that. I thought maybe we could take a minute or two to talk about like the second item here, establishing a pipeline of project candidates. So I feel like this is something we should also get tactical about. I think we'll get into like the project life cycle in more detail in a little bit, but in general, from how I've seen and observed this working in other foundations, there's like a sort of a steady stream of projects that are interested in joining some other Linux Foundation sub-foundations, and they're coming and presenting and submitting proposals to join a foundation. I feel like we'll need to sort of bootstrap or kickstart that pipeline. And I wonder if there's any insight from Dan from the Linux Foundation about how to approach this, or if other people have ideas about how to create a pipeline around this stuff.
Yeah, this is Brian. My suggestion is for the TAC not to worry about the project candidate yet. Yeah. To get all the foundation and get your mission and reach out to the city planner. That sounds like more critical mission for the school, right? So Dan and I, and we are, as all you know, we are trying to form a governing board. Once we have that, we can focus on like how we can offer to the community, to the project. For now, like just get all the foundational guidelines ready for them to reach out to us.
Okay.
And at the same time, if there's any interest, Dan and I will take it on point and we will talk to any interesting parties. And if they want to do it right now, then we can put them in. But it's a little bit risky for us to start talking to people about bringing their project without offering a very solid foundation for them to host their project.
Yeah.
This is my feedback.
Okay. It's good feedback. Okay. I guess I'm going to propose we move on unless anybody has any other comments on kind of these goals or objectives. I mean, I guess just to get, you know, it's some final feedback on this. As a TAC, are we generally, you know, thumbs up, you know, and excited about and approve of sort of this direction and this focus for us going forward?
Thumbs up here.
Cool. All right. Let's move on then to the project lifecycle. So I put together a few slides here that really summarize what exists currently in it's a document it takes the form of a markdown file in the Urban Computing Foundation GitHub repo around the project lifecycle. We've circulated it around in the past, but I know it's not super long, but it's also a lot of text, so I thought it would be useful to just kind of summarize in a presentation format sort of the context for this in case people haven't had a lot of time to dig in and read through it. And this way we can also have an opportunity to ask questions when we have folks from kind of the Linux Foundation here to support. In general, my reading of this document and this is that, you know, there's a project proposal process, and there's, you know, somewhat of a lengthy list of things that are included in this proposal. Most of them are really basic information about just kind of the, you know, who, what, and you know, the identifying information for the project, but also some stuff that's really around that probably a project proposal would include that's specific to their proposal, such as a statement on the alignment with the foundation, you know, their release methodology, their existing financial sponsorship, infrastructure needs or requests. So I think it's going to be our job as a TAC to sort of review these project proposals. So I didn't want to pause here and see if anybody had questions about the content of these project proposals, suggestions, concerns, anything like that. Okay. Yeah, I think we're sort of drafting off of sort of best practices from the Linux Foundation here for some other foundations. So, you know, this list is not something we've come up with just out of thin air. This seems to be good process that's used for other foundations as well. So in terms of the process for accepting a project, the teams or maintainers who are interested in joining the foundation will present their proposal at one of these TAC meetings. I feel like our agenda will hopefully gradually shift more towards presentations from the community about interested projects and proposals. It'll be our job as a group to sort of review and provide feedback or request changes. I think this is like an opportunity for us as a TAC to sort of drive the ecosystem aspects of things. And also, I think it'll be also our responsibility to make sure that we are sort of encouraging and pushing projects to really embrace open source and open governance. So I think this will be our opportunity to provide feedback about maybe establishing the right sort of project charters or commit process or stuff like that, that really, you know, makes it so that projects are truly walking the walk when it comes to open source and open governance, and that sort of fits with our ecosystem. From there, I think the projects will make changes to progress further, and then ultimately there'll be a supermajority vote of the TAC. I've looked at other foundations, and these votes, I believe, are generally done through that, publicly through that list, that UC Foundation email listserv that we're using. So TAC members, we will conduct the votes there, and they just TAC members reply to a thread with a +1 for a yes or a no. From there, I think the projects will, finalize their sort of commitment to the Urban Computing Foundation with a project charter. And as part of this, we'll need to determine the appropriate initial stage for the project. And I think that's a decision and responsibility that comes to the Technical Advisory Committee. Just briefly, the stages that are called out in that life cycle and project proposal there's at-large projects, growth stage, impact stage, and emeritus stage. So I guess this is kind of a summary of the project proposal and project lifecycle proposal. I want to see if there's any questions on any of this, if people have comments, or if, maybe even if anybody from the Linux Foundation has kind of guidance on this as applied to the Urban Computing Foundation.
I think the only thing that I would add here is that this is iterative. I think you mentioned that, Travis. Once this project lifecycle and project proposal process goes to GitHub, any changes to that will be, moderated, and the stewardship there is assigned to the TAC. So it's good to have a first pass, but as we see that there needs to be tweaks or any updates to the lifecycle or process, it will go through an open GitHub process.
Cool. Any other comments or questions on this? Okay. In terms of finalizing this, I think the real finalization step will be to merge this into the master branch on our GitHub repo that contains all sort of the governance docs.
Do we have the core in here? How many tech members do we have here today?
I believe we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6 TAC members? No, 7. 7 out of 9, I believe.
Yeah, I think we have.
So can we just in this meeting?
So can we have a vote to see if we can merge this version as the initial life cycle? Of course, with the tech can make amendment in the future, but we will go through the same thing. But since we have the core, I believe the core. Scott is on the line, right?
Scott Nichols?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I believe that we can vote on this if the tech is fine with this version.
Hey everybody, I've been hanging back. Yeah, you can move ahead with this. It is as Travis indicated, these are meant to be organic documents, and as you find that adjustments and tweaks and changes would be helpful to you, you can improve those. But it's good to have something to work from and begin to focus projects around. You can use this as a project recruiting tool in your first outreach to other projects. So it's useful to have something in place sooner and then focus on recruiting projects.
So to conduct a vote, do we just?
If you've got quorum, you can just ask. You don't have any requirement to follow any specific process. A lot of times what we do is something like, is there first motion to approve the project progression and lifecycle materials that we presented to the group today? And if there is a first motion, if a TAC member could speak up.
First motion from Travis.
Is there a second? And if there's a pause,
Second from Drew.
Excellent, thank you. So part of the reason we use this sort of formality, while it's not necessary, it's helpful to identify if there needs to be more discussion. But we have a second motion. So now what I would do is all those in favor of approving the project progression and the life cycle materials, please say aye. And then everybody say aye that is a voting member of the TAC.
Aye.
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 Hi.
I got 6 or 7. I think I got 7 there. Then anyone abstaining? Is anyone objecting? All right, then these materials are approved. Congratulations, everybody.
Cool.
Also,
Yeah.
lurking status.
Our first experience with truly open governance. Cool. So I'll merge that document in, and now we can use this as sort of a codified, formalized initial proposal for how projects should join the foundation. So that's great.
Yeah, so one thing that then I think we should think on the process side, we probably should create another report structure for people to submit pull requests for their proposal instead of sending email. I think that's probably more efficient for the tech.
Yeah, I saw project proposals looking at like, I think CNCF or maybe continuous delivery. There was actually like a proposal section in the repo where there was all the project proposals were listed there, or proposals like directory.
Yeah, because the operation side is left out of this life cycle, so we have to edit into it, so to make sure that there's no confusion on how they can propose.
How to propose. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I'll take a note of that. Maybe we could even put up like a sample proposal or something like that, like a template and a sample or something like that, so people know where to go. Cool. One other sort of topic about sort of how we work that I wanted to add to the agenda and cover was just a code of conduct. And so basically, code of conduct, this is really just want to set the stage in the early stages of us coming together as a TAC and creating this urban computing foundation, a formal code of conduct about how we work and sort of the experience that we're committing to create. There's a code of conduct, another pull request as well for a code of conduct into the UC Foundation GitHub. And you can go read it. It's not too lengthy. It's easy to read. But I thought just like the life cycle stuff that I'd summarize this in just a slide and give people opportunity to ask questions. But basically it all boils down to code of conduct. To me, like the key point is that we are pledging to ensure that we're creating a harassment-free experience for everyone in this community. And it's an open source, open governance, open community. And it's our responsibility as TAC members, maintain, the code of conduct describes maintainers. I feel like maintainers of the Urban Computing Foundation, that's the TAC members for the most part, along with the governing board in the future. But it's our responsibility to, clarify any standards, take appropriate and fair corrective action to ensure that we are creating that harassment-free experience. And in general, the code of conduct states that this applies to work on projects and as well as representing the projects in community or public spaces, so at events or online discussions, etc. This is another area also where we aren't just kind of creating this out of thin air, but we are adapting from the contributor covenant, which is a sort of a popular code of conduct sort of format or starting template that is endorsed by a lot of organizations and companies, including the Linux Foundation and many of the companies that TAC members that are on the call work at. So it's a widely accepted form of this code of conduct, and there's also a good frequently asked questions thing that on the contributorcovenant.org website that you can go dig into if you have specific questions about this. But in general, just wanted to lay this out there. Hopefully this is not something that we need to spend a lot of time and energy taking, clarifying or taking any type of action against, to help ensure that harassment-free experience. But did want to, at least in these early stages, just explicitly describe this code of conduct and state that we'll be merging this in. Any comments, questions, concerns on this? Cool. All right. Moving on to housekeeping. TAC community meeting. So there's a couple upcoming events that we should give updates on. I'm going to jump to the second one really quick, just because there's an upcoming deadline that's important. So the Linux Foundation Open Source Summit Europe in October. At the time of the last TAC meeting, we were discussing having like an urban computing day, but really that's evolved into, the Linux Foundation is excited to support us in having a whole potential track at the summit in Europe in October dedicated to urban computing. So have an open call for proposals for presentations along this track. And those call for proposals, the deadline for those is July 1st. So if you are interested in presenting at this, or know of other good people who may be interested in presenting, or projects that fit into urban computing, be great if we could all, as a TAC, use our networks to spread awareness of this and sort of drum up support and make people aware of this call for proposals. And that call for proposals, that deadline is July 1st. Anything to add there, Brian or Dan?
No, I think that's good summary. I think if you wanted to see the specifics on topics, feel free to check out that link, and that should have a digest of all of the different topics that have been consolidated and put up there for the CFP process.
A quick question.
Any questions, let me know. Absolutely.
Quick question, Dan. Is there a system for the TAG member to review those proposals? How does it?
I pinged our events team who manages that process, and I'm going to get the data dump from it next couple days. The person who's responsible is out of the office right now, but I'll get that as soon as I can.
Cool. I think we'll need help from the TAC in terms of reviewing those proposals and helping to, identify the topics and presentations that are a best fit for the Urban Computing Foundation, or the Urban Computing track there. I wonder, is there anybody who is excited about this and would like to volunteer? I think we'll need some assistance from the TAC and really kind of reading through these calls for proposals and helping. I can help and Dan can help in terms of actually gathering that information and creating it in a way that is like digestible. But is anybody interested in looking at these calls for proposals to help to formulate a track?
That's Oliver here from here. I can do that as well. Happy to help.
Oliver, can you speak up?
Yeah, I'm happy to help.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thanks,
It's
Oliver.
Randy. I'm happy to help as well. This is Randy.
Excellent. Cool. Anybody else?
This is Shan here. I'm happy to help too.
Thank you, Shan. Cool. Well, we can. That's a great group that we can, sort of distribute some of that work and coordinate on, creating that track. Hopefully, we'll have a healthy amount of proposals. I'm really interested to see if they're, the volume of the proposals coming in there. Skipping back up to the next TAC housekeeping item. So this is another event-related thing. This is the Open Source Summit North America planned for San Diego at the end of August. discussing basically having adjusting the timing of this August TAC meeting to coincide with this open source summit and try to turn that into a more face-to-face TAC meeting for anyone that can attend. We'll of course still keep the Zoom for people who can't attend and to welcome the community to these TAC meetings and keep them open. But just a heads up that we'll probably be rescheduling or shifting this slightly. Instead of like our TAC meeting, which I believe is currently scheduled for the week after, we'll probably shift this up a week to coincide with this event. Is there other housekeeping items that anybody wants to bring up at this time?
So we want to keep everyone being transparent about what's coming. So Tristy, we're still waiting for her response, but we asked Tristy to give a keynote about Urban Computing Foundation and what she has been doing in this space during the Open Source Summit in North America in San Diego. So it's a good way for us to raise the visibility and promote the foundation. Also, Oliver is going to deliver a keynote in Open Source Summit Europe. It's also about urban computing and how here technology support this effort.
Hi, everybody. This is Javier de la Torre. I joined a little bit late. Sorry, I was away. I couldn't join before. So I don't know if you passed already the part about we're organizing a conference, a spatial data science conference in New York in October. So I don't know if I'm coming too late or you talk about that.
Well, welcome. This is Javier. This is a perfect time to bring that up. We're kind of doing housekeeping and talking about sort of upcoming conferences and everything like that. So yeah, if you want to talk about that, that'd be an excellent time.
Okay, great. So I don't know who's in the call. So I'm Javier de la Torre. I'm the founder and CSO of Carto. So we're organizing this conference in New York in October. It's called the Spatial Data Science Conference. So the goal with the conference is to bring together the academia and the private sector around doing a spatial analysis, which I think is very relevant to this theme. I think the website will come up this week. I don't think it's yet.
This one looks like last year's.
Oh, this is last year's.
Yeah.
So okay, so you can check it out there. So the talks are, like I said, like half of it are academia. I think the keynote is going to be one of the professors at the University of Chicago, and the goal of here is to kind of like bring awareness towards the data science community about the possibilities around spatial. So spatial analysis. So it's all about like machine learning around spatial, and a lot of anything that has to do with working with location data. So there's a lot of videos, as you can see on the website from the previous year. We are inviting, like I said, like the private sector to kind of give use cases about how they're doing the spatial analysis. I think it's very relevant to this group because I think it kind of shares a lot of like the vision of that we have as a team. And yeah, first of all, I would like to invite everybody to attend, but we're also looking for speakers, and anybody that can bring particular kind of like experience on the private sector or in the academia sector around how to apply location intelligence, spatial analytics, for different type of use cases. So that's pretty much about it. I think it would be great to also on the conference to introduce this initiative. Because I think a lot of people will find use on the software and all the initiatives that you guys are promoting here. So I think it's quite complementary. It's going to be at the Columbia University. And yeah, I'd be happy to give more details if you want. But more than anything, most of the organizations involved here, I would love to see some of you attending and potentially also submitting some presentation. We expect around 300 to 400 people. The audience is around 60% is data scientists, again, a mix between academia and the private sector. And then there's a little bit of there's a bunch of GIS people, and then a little bit of like business, but mostly it's just focused on, again, on data science. So it's highly technical. I think it's a great place to promote some of the projects in here, and also like just promote the overall spatial data science.
Awesome. Sounds like a perfect fit for Urban Computing Foundation. And let us know when the website's up and the like call for proposals for speakers, and we can spread awareness of that on the Urban Computing Foundation like email list, and also just through our networks as well.
I'll do that. Yeah, I think again expect the website to come up this week. I think is the goal. We're also looking for sponsors, by the way. So if any of you can promote, like a sponsorship, that would be great. We have like Microsoft. I think like the head of AI at Microsoft is also giving a keynote, and they're sponsoring. So so it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a pretty interesting conference. So if anybody's also interested on sponsorship, just let me know. Okay.
Cool. How long have you been holding this spatial data science conference?
So this is gonna be the third year.
Third year. Cool.
So the first year was the goal of this, and also for anybody, we actually bring together. Sorry, I'm on the street, so maybe a little noisy. But the first year we brought, the first and second year. So one of the things that we do is that we brought, like community of open source players working around spatial data science, like the PySal community, so that they actually can make workshops and coordinate, work during it. So there's like side events, particularly in open source projects around spatial data science. And yeah, I think the first year we were like around 80, the second year around 150, and this year we expect something like 300 people. So it's growing quite a lot. So the interest is there. And again, it's highly technical. I think it also provides quite a good forum for people working on open source projects around. It's mostly, like I said, like PySal. It's a great place. I mean, you'll see there, but yeah, I think it's a great forum. Also, so one of the ideas in there is like if UCF wants to do something around that. If there's a bunch of people of you guys that want to come, we can also organize a side event and particular about this.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll be in touch about that. But yeah, let us know when the website is up, and we'll help spread the word and potentially.
Yeah. And to a question. Yeah, and to a question to that is like, is there who would you think it's? Because I think it would be good to promote this group that at that conference. So, is there someone that could actually give a quick talk about like the objectives of this group, and so that like we can? I mean, I think like this will be of interest to a lot of people within this conference. So I think like having at least like a 5-10 minutes talk just about what is the objective of this group and what are the projects and so on. I think that would be fantastic. So if someone within the group can actually come and talk about it, that'll be great. If not, I can do it myself. But I mean, I think it would be great, to get like someone to talk about this. I think it's a great outreach event.
Hey Javier, this is Brian. Nice to talk to you again. So can you send the timeline and information to me, and then we will coordinate that.
Okay. Yeah. Again, this week I'll send you an email with all the mailing list with the actual website, the dates, and everything, so you have it.
Cool. Seems like a great conference. It looks exciting. Okay. Any other housekeeping items? Nope. Okay.
Hey, one of the things, I mean, I don't know if it's the right moment, so sorry if I come in, just the last minute here, but but Carto is very interesting on the group. So I mean, we would like to officially join. I know that there's not like a process for doing so, but I just want to express that we find this initiative very interesting within the organization, and would like to promote it and support it. So so you're gonna see me and a few other people within the organization joining these meetings. And overall, I mean, we also looking at what are the open source projects that we could contribute to the initiative, but also how we could collaborate on projects like Kepler and others. So just for everybody to know that, like we're definitely watching this, and we're definitely looking forward to collaborate with you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Javier. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited that you're here. You're consistently showed up to 2 TAC meetings too, and participating. So like I'm excited to kind of have your presence here in these TAC meetings, and in terms of kind of formalizing that interest and association with the Urban Computing Foundation. I think we should connect with Dan offline, Dan Lopez, and I know you kind of came in a little partially through this. He's the program manager who's going to be really supporting the Urban Computing Foundation from the Linux Foundation, and he can help talk to you about kind of if you want to formalize that at the sort of corporate level.
Great. I know Dan pretty well, so yeah, very much looking forward. I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We've got about 7 minutes left. To me, this may be jumping the gun just based on our discussions from earlier. I was just wondering if we wanted to open up the discussion about like project candidates for the Urban Computing Foundation. I don't know, Dan and Brian, what do you guys think? Is this a little too early to start to talk about, like, I assume I know there's been a bunch of inquiries after the initial announcement. We've got this open source summit call for proposals where people are submitting sort of topics. Do we want to start talking about what these projects and potentials for the Urban Computing Foundation?
I think what would be helpful is for Dan. I think if you have a number, you can share the interest level to this group, and so we know why we are working on the guidelines and potentially building the governing board, why we are pushing that. The interest level might be interesting, but we probably don't need to talk about the individual projects or the parties yet.
Okay.
Do we still have Dan online?
Yeah, I think the process here should be consolidating that list, going through the interest list of actual projects, as well as some of the developers that just need to be more aware of what we're doing and how they would fit in, and move the needle there. I think that would be an initiative not for this call, but something that we take to start a process. That's probably going to use a couple async communication channels to get that done. So I think we just kick that off as a process here, Travis, and then we'll move that into kind of an active activity.
Okay, cool. In terms of agenda items for next time, so I know just to share with the group, we have this open TAC meeting agenda doc, and I think I dropped a link to this in the email, the UC Foundation email list, the TAC list there. So just thinking that it would be good to circle up on some of these project presentations from the community and maybe plan 1 or 2 for our next meeting. I know Todd is actually not with us this week, I believe. So that might be a difficult one to kind of commit to, but wondering if Oliver or Javier, I know you're both on the line. Well, Javier, I know you talked about the Spatial Data Science Conference, but maybe there's also interest in speaking more broadly around Carto. Oliver, anything around here? Would either of you be interested in sort of presenting to the community at the next TAC meeting at the end of July about one of these topics?
Yeah, this is Javier. Yeah, so definitely, I mean, like, we have an internal like project around, like how to, but we're talking with the Uber team around, like how we can collaborate on Kepler and XGL. So I think it would be good if I actually can tell a little bit about, what we're doing at Carto. There's a few projects I think will be good candidates to also like provide to the foundation. So yeah, I'll be happy to actually do a full introduction. And probably I will bring one of my hosts CTO who's been thinking a lot about that. So yeah, count on us on that. Or you saying like we do it now?
No, next month. So yeah.
Okay.
And I think,
Good.
yeah, that'd be great. And I think like, time wise in terms of like duration, I think like, a 10 to 20 minute presentation or something like that. So that we can start to kind of filter in some more like substantial sort of project focused and technical urban computing foundation focused topics into these meetings. So this sounds like a candidate.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, count on me on that. Yep.
Awesome. I'll send the dates over. I don't have an exact date, but it's going to be, I think, that last Wednesday of July, 9 a.m. Pacific. That's when our monthly TAC meetings are scheduled. So I'll connect with you offline closer to that time.
Sure, that works.
Awesome. All right. Any final topics? We've got running pretty close to on time, just 2 minutes left in the hour. Going once, going twice. Okay, thank you everybody for attending our second TAC meeting. I've enjoyed the conversation. I feel like we've accomplished a lot, and particularly happy about us sort of ratifying that project proposal process so that we can start to move forward and share that with interested parties. So look forward to seeing everybody next month for our next TAC meeting. And, please feel free to reach out to me in the meantime, either directly or on the TAC email list if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Okay, thanks everybody.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you for the
Thank
guide.
you.
See you soon. Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye all.